times in his rhymes, cause his memories. We running through New York, so you never leave. Strap my lungs, then we puffin' through with that right. But giving them some stories, they come back like manic this, manic that, while you crawling to me.
Okay guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be going over what's it actually really like to be living with a BMW E60 day to day. So guys, as you'll see here, this is my BMW E60, and as many of you guys know, I've had it now for the last 2 years, and in that time we've gone over a lot of things on this car. Now, as many of you guys know, and I tell you all the time, this car, I had it even before I started the channel, and I did all the repairs before I started the channel as well. Now, that's not to say I wouldn't have done it on the channel, but I started the channel too late. But everyone always asks me, what's it like to own one? Should they buy one? And what's the right one for them? This all goes by your expenditure and how much you can afford monthly on these cars. Now, as you guys know, in the UK, the E60 is quite an expensive car to maintain. In the US, it's not, and that's purely because of the road tax brackets and the insurance, and that's the same in the EU owning these. That's why a lot of people go for the 2-litre diesel in these, because it lowers their insurance, and also it's a lot cheaper. And that's the same as in like a lot of countries like India, because these cars are very expensive to buy, maybe £25,000 still even in their country, you know. And the same as some other countries in the EU, these cars are very expensive. They're not as cheap as they are in the UK. But that all being said, is another thing I want to come to, is that a lot of people always state to me that, you know, and I always get this in the comments, that I say about the car prices here about these, but that's not the case in other countries. That's correct. In the UK, we can buy most of these BMWs, same as the E46, for very, very little money, where in other countries that's not the case. For this kind of car, you're looking around 3-4 grand. Like in Sweden and India, you're looking at between 25,000 to probably, you know, maybe 10,000 or 11,000 euros just for this car. So they cherish it because it's like you're paying for a brand new car. But realistically, it's not. In this country, this is why a lot of people just give them away, because we've got strict procedures, obviously, with the MOT. We've got the road tax and insurance. Now, that doesn't apply to everybody. Not everybody needs to have them things on their cars in other countries, but in the UK we do. So bearing in mind that you need to have an MOT, it lowers the price on the car, because if something's neglected and the person knows it's going to fail, they're better off to get it for cheap. It's going to cost them the repairs, and if they have relying on the garage for these kind of repairs, fair enough as well. Garages ain't expensive here. You've got mobile mechanics in the UK that will come out and repair your car, things like that. So it's not really expensive, but it's still an expense people don't want to pay. So the majority of the time people get rid of these cars is when they're needing all that work done, i.e. this one. This one needed it all done. It was owned by an Indian guy, a white guy. It was owned by many different people, and who were all in contact with me, who owned this car previous to me. And as I said, it needed a lot doing. They couldn't find a fault. I got it, and they're so happy with the way it outcome. They wanted to offer to buy it back off me, but as you guys know, it's a channel car. But yes, it's going to be getting given away on the membership when we get the membership active to one of you guys, as I know a lot of you guys like this car, favour it. I cherish it. You guys know what I've done to it and how well I look after it, and therefore it needs to go so we can bring the new car to the channel. It's not that I don't have just money to do that now, it's the space. I need the space, and this car is quite big. We've got another exciting car coming to the channel, and I want to try and make this car go to the right person on the channel, obviously in the UK, so they can get to enjoy it the same way I have, and the car's solid and won't let anybody down. But going on to owning these day to day, I believe that actually easy cars to own day to day. I can take this car anywhere in the UK I want, anywhere I want to go, even in the EU if I really wanted to, and I know it's not going to give me no trouble. But you got to remember one thing: if you're planning to buy this and then just try and use it without doing the maintenance, this ain't going to be a day-to-day car for you. You will not be able to use this as your daily. Own them day to day, how can I pull it, is very cheap but also expensive if you're going to be replacing parts constantly. The best way to do these cars is to overhaul everything they need. Now, I'm not going to go over the engine maintenance on these, because it doesn't really apply to the engine, because regardless you've got the diesel or the petrol, day-to-day running costs are probably going to be the same, regardless of that fuel or parts. Diesel, you're going to have the turbocharger, which is a lot more expensive to maintain, and 52, you're going to have the water pump, which is expensive to maintain. It's about the same price as a turbocharger. So you've got them factors involved in it as it is. You're going to have a big major expense in these cars, but the best thing to do is to get it out the way, eliminate it, so you can then enjoy the car. For instance, this sits quite a lot of the time, as you'll probably see by the tires. It's been sitting around a lot. It doesn't really get used much because I'm using my other vehicle, so this one doesn't really get used, but I will stop everyone right there before they think. I don't use it as my daily, but if I want to use it as my daily, I can with no issues because I know everything's been done. That's the bonus of once you've overhauled these cars, knowing they can sit, and you know you can drive them in peace, knowing everything's been done and not worrying about something's going to fail. And that's the advantage I've got over this car. Now, if you are planning to buy one as your daily, just be aware of all the niggly bits that will go wrong. A lot of people will go and buy them and notice that the tyres are bald. That's going to be normal. Most people can't afford to buy tyres on these cars. They're very expensive. As I told you, I put new tyres on only last year and it cost £900. Brake discs and pads, they're about normal price. They're probably about 150 for all four, and I did them all myself, so it isn't that hard. But please be aware, I get this asked a lot, you are going to have brake judder from these E60s when you're braking. It's perfectly normal. Every E60's done that, and nobody's ever really realised why. I believe it's due to the aluminium body style on these cars. That's why it's a lot lighter. The dynamics of the braking system on this just don't hold the weight very well, so that will cause a shake when you're at high speed. You just got to be aware of the normal things. I do see a lot of them with the splitter on the bumpers all cracked as well, where people just don't care and just drive them onto the curbs even though they're low. For instance, the curbs over there, as you'll see, people put them right up there and it will catch it and then pull it apart, so you got to be careful of that on the bumpers, especially on these, because they do come low down. It's what a lot of people ain't aware of. Realistically, if you are looking to buy an E60, I always tell everyone this, and I know a lot of people don't like this, but I tell you straight away, do not think of purchasing an SE. Always go for the M Sport if you want it to keep its value. You know, the reason I tell you guys to go for M Sport is because they hold their value and they don't lose their value, and many people will know that. Like I said, I'm not going to go into the engine specifics of this, but the body itself, as you see, it still looks as good as it did from day one. Obviously, it just needs a clean, but a clean ain't going to distract it from the watty that it actually looks. You guys know how many videos I've done with this, how this looks when it's all glory. But day-to-day life of owning an E60 is actually really, really good and really economical. And for the price you can get these for today in 2020, makes them a very good car to own and still look very modern, as I tell you all the time. Like I said, when I'm going down the road, I can notice these even if I'm not driving my one or someone else is coming down towards me, just because of them eyebrows. And you know, it's just that look. The look of the E60 will never die old, and this is the only car that's got that look, regardless that be E61, E60. It's got that look that will never die. And I've like I said to you guys, it is a great car to own day to day, but you just got to be wary. If you are going to get it the M52 or the M57, you're going to have to do your parts for it. Day to day owning one of these is very, very simple, very easy. I know many of you ain't going to be like me. You're going to be using this as your main daily car, but if you are planning to use it as your main daily car, like I said, just make sure you overhaul everything enginely, electronically, and get it ready so you can enjoy it for the next 1 to 2 years. Because once it's in your hands and you've overhauled it, you've got to remember nobody else is going to touch that car. Nobody else is going to benefit from that car. So you're going to be the one to look after it. You've got to remember, when you buy these, they're going to be neglected, where the last owner didn't care and just drove it anyhow. You find that a lot, especially here in the UK. A lot of trampy people will go and buy these and just drive them and let things keep failing and failing and falling apart. That's just the way it is. But if you get and you become like me, where you just replace every little thing that goes wrong in it and you do it there and then, you should have no issues. For the moment, if I started this car up 3 weeks down the line, it had a code, I would deal with it there and then. I wouldn't just leave it and think, oh, I need to drive it, it's my daily, keep driving it until something else comes on. No, you repair it there and then. And that's exactly what I do with this car. So to own one day to day, they're very, very practical, and especially the E60 being 5-door car, it's a very, very practical car for kids, for family. The boot space on it is significantly big, and to be fair, if you have gone away many, many times with this car, and I've managed to get everything in the boot. You know, I've gone and picked up family during Christmas time, things like that, and I've always never had an issue getting things in the boot, and never being able to not get anyone in the back of the car. This car was comfortable. My family still asked me to come pick them up in this over my other car because they love this car, and there's a reason why. Like I say, I've done so much to this car to make it what it is, and like I say, it is the car that I believe you can own day to day if you have the time, skills, and you want to put in effort. And as many people say, this car is like caring for a baby or a newborn kitten. This is as bad as they get, but like I say, the reward pays off big time, and the advantage that you've got driving one of these compared to driving some old other crapper out there, you've got the advantage to drive a BMW if you're willing to put the time in. Like I said, these cars ain't for everybody. They require a lot of work, more than a child, but in the same sense, they can be very rewarding in the end if you put the time in and what you're going to get in a car, which no other cars mostly have. For instance, like I showed you on a previous video, heads-up display and things like that, this is all fitted in 2006. Most car companies are fitting it now as like it's new technology. You've got to bear that in mind. Most stuff that BMW have now, companies are trying to follow on years later and put in their cars and act as if it's new. So guys, if you are planning to buy one and have it as your daily, I would advise to go and buy one. Just be aware of what the running cost of it to own it. Like I say, it doesn't cost me much since I've overhauled the whole engine, which cost me around £800. That's been it. I've only overhauled the engine. Electronics have been perfect. Like I say, because I deal with all that anyway, as you guys know, I deal with all the electronic repairs. So electronic wise, it's actually been a perfect car. And like I said, if you do want to get one, I advise you to go and get one. Do not be scared of them. The cars can be fiddly in the electronics, but in the same sense, the older they get in, the cheaper parts are getting, the cheaper modules are getting, and most people know their way around these systems now, especially me. So it's not a hard car to get yourself into. And like I said, they're very rewarding in the long run. Like I said, I never thought that many people would still own an E60 to this day in the UK and in the US, but people do, which shows me this car is still a much wanted and a much cherished and loved car, which I feel very happy about. You guys know how I love this E60, how much I adore the E60 range. And like I said, for me, it makes me feel proud knowing that everyone is in the same boat as me and actually still adores this car and is not jumping to the next one up. Now, as I said to you guys, if I wanted to, I could easily go and afford to buy the F series or the G series, but I don't know why, but the E60 has got that look that no other has got. And like I say, I don't know what it is with me and the E60, but I adore the E60. Bearing in mind it's got the M52, but this applies for the diesel, M52, M54, the 2-litre diesel. It's the boss body of the car. Day-to-day maintenance will all be the same. You could probably overhaul a whole M57 engine for the price of the M52, bearing in mind the water pump takes up most of the cost, and that's the same for the M57 just with the turbocharger. You just got to bear that in mind. But overall, I would not, and I mean this, I would not hesitate to purchase another E60 at any time given. And like I said, you know, even when you look into the interior of this car, when you look into it, you still see it as new all inside. As you'll see there, everything still looks so modern, so comfortable. You sit inside it, because I get many people saying to me, oh, the E60's getting old, why don't you do new stuff? But there's a reason for that. The E60 still has that look. You know, no other car has this steering wheel like the E60. Not even the E90, not none of them. This steering wheel alone is legendary. This steering wheel, this was only fitted in the E60s, and this is what makes me proud to own one. You get in an F series, as you guys know, I had one. It's not like this. Majority of the things are just not like this anymore, and this is what makes the E60 the E60. Like I said, I do not feel ashamed. I do not feel old. I do not care what people think of me owning this car. This car is worth every penny, and day to day, it's a car realistically I could keep for the rest of my life if I wanted to. It owes me nothing. It runs like an absolute dream. But like I said, guys, we are going to be giving it away on the membership, because I only think it's right. There's people out there that need the car and can apply when we get the membership, so they can actually apply to try and win this car. I do believe everyone should be entitled to own an E60, and this is a perfect example of one that's going out there. It's been owned by me, and many of you guys know I completely adore this car, and so whoever it goes to is going to enjoy it as much as I have, and I know it's going to give them trouble-free motoring and not have to get a return. There's many cars out there you could go and buy for an E60, but day to day, you're going to end up with big problems and nothing's been done. Where with this one, everything's been done, so nobody has to worry about having any kind of issues coming or rising or electronics, because this one has everything sorted. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and like I said, guys, this is a day-to-day life of me owning my E60 and what it's cost me and where I've got it up to now. Thank you very much for watching, guys. My Instagram link will be in the video the whole way along as well, so if you want to go and add me on Instagram. This is BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.
This one's for the heart. I made a promise to myself and my fam that I would go hard. Beat through times, no cash, I'm a wallet, no cash, I'm a card. And life situations have a man's mind frame scarred, but it don't stop me waking up in the morning thinking to myself, I will